Regular Board of Education meeting for the Winslow Township Board of Education, Wednesday, July 11th, 2025. Public notice of this meeting was given to all board members and associates in a notice dated 1/9/2025. Adequate and electronic notice of this public meeting has been provided specifying the time, place, and manner in which this meeting is being conducted. It was advertised in the Courier Post, posted in all schools, the administration office, the municipal building, the library, Bud Dugal Center, Edgewood Acres, Elmtown, and the Winslow Township Post Offices. Mission statement. The mission of the Winslow Township School District, a large, diverse, and growing community, is to educate all students to become independent, lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and caring and confident members of their community. The district, in partnership with the community, and in a climate of cooperation and mutual respect, will provide an academic environment which values excellence and diversity and encourages students to strive for personal excellence and assist them in acquiring knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to contribute positively to a rapidly changing world. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clark.
Here.
Ms. Dredden.
Here.
Ms. Glaude.
Present.
Ms. Martin.
Present.
Mr. McManus.
Present.
Ms. Peterson.
Present.
Ms. Pitts.
Present.
Mr. Thomas.
Present.
And Mr. Shaw.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Can we all stand for the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2024-2025 district goals. Student achievement. Continue to implement best practices for delivering instruction to students. This shall include conduct weekly administrative walkthroughs to monitor teaching and learning. Consistently review student assessment data to guide and redirect teaching. Continue to provide supplemental activities, i.e. tutoring, enrichment periods, to address student deficiencies. Benchmark assessment for 9th grade math, language, and arts. And number 2, create a safe and positive learning environment for students and staff. Strictly enforce the district's students' code of conduct. Focus on upper elementary school students to modify students' behavior in early grades. Reinforce positive behavior in a specific and a genuine way. Approach discipline with care, respect, and the desire to see the good in all students. And number 3, increase parent, caregiver, and community engagement in education. Provide opportunities for two-way communication with district stakeholders. Continue with communication consortium. Focus on refining our communication methods and messages to better market our schools. Continue with our public relations with the community.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Dr. Gottlieb, awards and presentations.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board and community, we have 2 presentations this evening. We'd like to start with Mr. Dion Davis, our Director of Human Resources, who will give us the 23-24 district and school grade report. Mr. Davis?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tonight, I'm here to report that on May 8th, 2025, the New Jersey Department of Ed accepted and approved the 2023-2024 school self-assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Rights Act. Enclosed in your folders, you will see the official copy, which shows our school scores, which range anywhere from 73 to 78 points. This is out of a total of 78 points. Board members, if you recall, back in the fall, I presented out the reports that the schools did and went to the Department of Ed, and this is the official report that you have in your folders. Our district grade was a 76 out of 78 based upon all of the schools. The following narrative, along with our 23-24 schools, has been updated, to both the district as well as each school's website. And it reads the following, the narrative. Beginning with September 2011 to 2012 school year, our school district has conscientiously implemented the requirements found in the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act by establishing and implementing various programs, approaches, and initiatives to address harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Since the implementation of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, our school district has made progress in addressing and improving harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and the school climate and culture by creating school and district-based initiatives, utilizing the MyK-12 software system for reporting and tracking incidents, and providing ongoing training to staff and students. While completing the self-assessment for the 23-24 school year, we learned that our school district has demonstrated strengths in the following areas: providing ongoing training for staff and students on HIV-related information, implementing programs and approaches to address HIV prevention and intervention, and conducting and completing investigations within the 10-day timeframe. As a district, we are committed to addressing HIV-related incidents as they are reported in an effort to provide a safe and conducive learning environment for all students. So that information is on the district as well as each school's website, along with the official report. Any questions of me at this time? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Our second presentation is by Ms. Tashima Lane. She is the district's athletic director. Prior to Mrs. Lane beginning, I would like to inform the board and the community that I did meet with Ms. Lane, and Ms. Lane shared with me records from many of our athletic programs that had very, very little success, to the point where it's become somewhat embarrassing, not only for our young people, but for the school and their parents. So I asked Ms. Lane, because I support her recommendation, I asked Ms. Lane if she would come and share this information with the school board and the community so that they can see and hear some of the things that are going on with those athletic programs, so they can gather better understanding of why this recommendation is being made. Now, Ms. Lane, before you begin, do you want us to move?
Yes.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tashima Lane. I'm the athletic director. I'm going to be doing a presentation on moving from the Olympic Conference to the Cape Atlantic League Conference. So why are we here? We're here today because our current conference is no longer serving our student athletes. We do have a duty to reassess to assure that we are positioning our students to be successful. In my presentation, I'm planning to show you the growing concerns for competitive balance, the safety and morale that is at stake. We're going to evaluate our current conference, and then I'm going to propose a strategic conference transition. I did provide booklets to all of the board members to follow, but I'll also follow up here. The current conference that we're in is called the Olympic Conference. We pay $3,800 a year to participate in this conference. There's 2 divisions, and each division is realigned every 2 years. The schools are grouped into divisions based off of their school size. There are mandatory crossover games, and the conference schedule makes up about 20 to 80% of our entire schedule. Football is not in the Olympic Conference, so football will not be impacted by this transition. We're in the West Jersey Football League Conference. I created a summary of how our teams have been doing against the Olympic Conference for 4 years. So the 2021, 21-22, 22-23, and so forth. And as you can see, every team has been struggling. This chart shows the wins versus the loss against Olympic conference teams only. I did not include football because they're not in the Olympic conference. I also did not include track because track is the only team that's able to compete in the Olympic conference. Not only is track competing in the dominating the Olympic conference, they're also dominating all the schools in the state. So I didn't put them in these charts. If you look at the last column, the yellow column, it shows 4 years of conference records. So for example, field hockey, for those 4 years, they won 0 games and they lost 22 games. Girls soccer won 4 games and they lost 42 games. Boys soccer won 3 games and they lost 41 games, and so forth. In essence, if you look at the bottom, the last row that's red, overall, as a school, we won 94 games. However, we lost 463 games against Olympic conference schools for the past 4 years. This is one of the reasons why I did not include track. This is the results from the state championship from about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Both our boys and our girls won the state championship. Not only did they win, they dominated. The girls nearly tripled the points of second place, and the boys as well. So no matter where track will be, they will still dominate. They are all Americans, and their times is their times, and they're ranked nationally. So it doesn't matter what league that we're in for track, which is why I'm not including them in this data. I also want to let you know that I'm using clear data to build urgency and eliminate speculation. So everything that I present tonight is all evidence-based. This is our current year's record against our Olympic conference teams. Once again, I didn't include track, but for the fall, we only won 5 games. And in the winter, in the spring, so forth. But as a total school, we won 14 games against Olympic conference teams, and we lost 112 games. So just to show you how demoralizing it has been and the embarrassment that some of our athletes are enduring, most of our teams, when we play the Olympic conference games this year, these are scores against the teams, the Olympic conference teams, they don't even score a run, a goal. For wrestling, we're not really scoring, beating a match. And for girls tennis, we didn't win no matches. For volleyballs, we didn't win no matches. For softball, every team that we played, our girls did not score one home run at all against any of the teams that we played that were Olympic conference teams. Our baseball team had 2 games that the umpires called during second inning because they were in the inning for an hour and a half and they couldn't get out of the inning. And that never happens. Our boys lacrosse team, they had 5 games that they had to forfeit because they don't have enough players, because they started out with 8 players and by May, 6 of the players were hurt. In the conference, we currently have several teams on partial exemptions. We just was granted a full exemption for baseball and softball that's going to start this upcoming year. And then girls basketball, the divisions will be realigned, which means that as of the 26-27 school year, we're going to need to apply for a full exemption.
Would you explain what exemption means?
Yes. A partial exemption means that we only have to play the schools that's in our division. So we don't have to play the mandatory crossover games. So with the partial exemption, we probably will have about 50 to 60% of the games against Olympic conference teams. if you're on versus having 60 to 80% with no exemption. If you're on a full exemption, then you do not have to play any of the conference games and you get to create your own schedule. However, with a full exemption, you do not have the opportunity to nominate any of your players for the all-conference or all-star events. However, our players don't get picked anyway. Just to give you an example, last week, girls lacrosse had their meeting, their end of the season meeting, and their goalie had more saves than the other goalies that was nominated for first team all conference. However, they did not pick our goalie because we didn't win a game. But her stats was just as good as some of the athletes that were selected. And this happens all the time. Our athletes are rarely selected. Boys basketball actually won their division, and we only had one person selected on first team all conference. So they don't select our athletes anyway. Any other questions?
Thank you.
So if we continue on this path, staying in the Olympic conference, in my opinion, as the athletic director, we need to reassess where we are currently. The Olympic conference is not the right fit for us at this time. Staying in the conference will continue to weaken our student athlete experience. Athletics is supposed to be an event of pride. It's supposed to bring out joy in the best of people. It shouldn't bring out tears and embarrassment. And our athletes have been suffering and being embarrassed for the past, I went back 5 to 6 years, but I can go back up to 10 years and the data will still be the same. So for me, this does go beyond scores. The scores are horrible, but most importantly, this is an emotional and the cultural effects that I am very concerned about, as well as the safety for our athletes. So the real impacts that we're having fewer students try out for certain teams because now they believe that why should I try out? The team don't win. I'm not going to make a difference. We have coaches that are struggling to maintain motivation. We have many parents that are questioning our schedules. Why are we playing these teams? The Olympic conference teams specifically. We are at risk of losing some of our programs due to athletes getting hurt and the coaches not being able to maintain that motivation to finish and to play, even though they're being embarrassed and humiliated. We have student athletes that are accepting this losing mentality, which is something I would never want any student to experience or to think that it's okay to lose. We are losing our in-building athlete recruitment. So we do have one team that during tryouts, we had about 70 athletes come out and try out, but we can only keep about 50. So 15 to 20 athletes were cut. And I met with those athletes and I tried to encourage them to join the other teams that we struggling to have athletes on. And they basically told me, no, why would I be on a team? They don't win. I'm not going to make a difference. So we can't even recruit within our building to support our other teams. I conducted a survey with all our coaches and I asked them a few questions. One of the questions were, do you think that our teams are competitively matched with the teams in the Cape Atlantic Conference? And as you can see, 85% said yes. Do you think that our teams are competitively matched to the teams in the Olympic Conference? And as you can see, over 80% said no. Please describe your overall experience for our student athletes while competing in the Olympic Conference. These are coaches' responses: humiliating, horrible, challenging, significantly outmatched. It's difficult to compete in the Olympic conference. Dating back to 2010, the wrestling team has only won 12 conference games. So dating back 14 years ago, they have only won 12 conference games. My team has never won a conference game. I also asked the coaches, what do they perceive as some challenges? And these were the three main challenges that they thought. Will they be able to schedule games against the Olympic conference teams if we move? Yes, we can schedule against the teams we want, and we can pick and choose how many games that we schedule against them. Will it be excessive travel time more than to the Olympic conference? No. The next slide, I created a commute comparison, and I'll go over that. However, the results of the comparison, it's about a 5-minute difference in between the conferences. So but depending on the division that you're in how, it can actually be less. And I'll explain that in the next slide. And the last concern was, well, what if we don't win and we move to the next conference? So for the past 2 years, I've been scheduling cross-conference games with the Cal Conference. And these games have been our most competitive games and successful for our athletes. And these are also the games that our coaches are asking me to schedule. At the end of each season, I have a postseason meeting with every coach, and I ask them, what teams you want to play and what teams do you want to avoid? And they all want to play teams in the Cal Conference, and they all are asking me for exemptions and to avoid the teams in the Olympic Conference. I also have a few examples. One example is with girls basketball. Their overall record was 11-14. However, their conference record was 0-13. So they played 13 conference games and they lost every single conference game. Out of the 11 games that they won, 8 of them was against teams in the Cal conference. And there are several examples with other sports where they are more competitive, they're winnable games against Cal teams. So this is the commute comparison that I created. The top is the division that we're currently in the Olympic Conference. I don't know if you guys can see that. But the average commute time for us to those schools is about 42 minutes. In the Cal Conference, as you can see, they realign their divisions every year. So depending on how, and they base their realignment on your record, how you did. So you are put in a division with schools with similar records. And depending on the school, your division, you're only playing against the schools that are in your division. And this is an example below of 3 different divisions, where one division, the average time can be 33 minutes, which is less than the time traveled to the Olympic Conference games. And then in another division, the average time can be about 44 minutes, which is a little bit more. But depending on the division that you're in, it can be maybe 5 or 5 minutes less. It's not a significant difference in the commute times. The great thing also about the Cal Conference is that they do have many teams that are close, that are like 15, 20 minutes away. However, they do have 2 or 3 teams that are 50 minutes away. But most parents that I've talked to, they'd rather travel an extra 5 or 10 minutes if the game is going to be competitive. Transition benefits. If we were to transition to the Cal Conference, changing conference isn't just about wins or losses. It's about restoring balance, boosting participation, and creating a thriving educational-based athletic environment for all of our student athletes. The Cal Conference is a better aligned conference that will reset and reset expectations for us and foster a healthier athletic environment for all of our student athletes. The reason that I decided that the Kyle Conference will be the best fit for us is because I did a conference analysis. There are 3 other conferences in our area that we could potentially join. The Colonial Conference has 12 schools in there, but those schools are Group 1 and Group 2 schools. They're very small. They will not accept us in that conference because we are a Group 3 school. We have 1,200 plus athletes. The Tri-County is another conference. They realign their divisions every 2 years. Their divisions is based on your school size, and they have mandatory crossover games. Their bylaws is pretty much the exact same as the Olympic Conference. So we'll be in the same position as we are now, and that wouldn't be a good fit. However, the Kyle Conference, they realign their divisions every year, and their divisions is based off of strength of record. So you're always going to be in a division with like competition. The fees for the Kyle Conference is only $1,000 a year versus the Olympic Conference fees is $3,800. So the fees are cheaper as well. The transition map. This move has been intentional, strategic, and centered around one goal, is to give our student athletes the best athletic environment. As the athletic director, my philosophy is creating an educational-based athletics that is focused on our student athletes. I'm committed to supporting all of my student athletes, and with your support, I aim to finalize this move for all of our teams to be competing in the Kyle Conference as of the 26-27 school year. Are there any questions?
I have
Yes.
go ahead, Mrs. Cole.
Yes, for the Cal Conference, how are the scholarships in that division for student athletes? Is it basically nearly the same for the kids, so they still have an opportunity to get athletic scholarships?
Yes, all that does not change.
Okay.
Yes. Dr. Pucci?
No, if there were no other questions, I just wanted to say that, I have been observing this situation for quite some time. In the earlier years, there were individuals who just refused to leave the Olympic Conference because of history and previous years, the connectivity, community. But I think at this point, over a 10-year period, our youngsters have been embarrassed so badly competing in those sports that were identified today. I don't think that we can continue to put our young people in that situation. We just cannot do it. I'm thinking, as Mrs. Lane had mentioned, the morale factor, and now we're getting to the point where young people just refuse to go out to those programs because they believe that we cannot win. And why should they be a part of a losing program? But I think it's more important that we look at where these young people are today, not historically, but where our children are today and what is in their best interest. And that's why I support Mrs. Lane's recommendation. And I asked her, of course, to come here before the board so that you know in which direction we are aiming, because we believe academically, that this is in the best interest of our young people. And hopefully you will also give her your support.
Thank you for supporting the future of our athletes. And just remember that the biggest winners in this move will be our student athletes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane.
That's on your radar a lot.
Excuse me.
That's on your radar almost
Yeah.
4 years ago.
No, yeah.
Concerned about that.
Yeah.
Those numbers are compelling.
Good.
It's the administration's decision, but just if there's no comments, just say Mr. Cole, if there's no comments, just. He doesn't need to go.
Yeah, I think the process would be, at this point, if there's no objection from the board, and Dr. Petit doesn't need specific authority to proceed, but maybe some encouragement or some words of,
I have a comment.
certainly.
I applaud the athletic director for coaching the board and doing the research, and the presentation was phenomenal. I would just ask that we keep this like on a probationary period, because there's no real guarantee that we go down to the other conference that we're gonna win. And I don't want to get in a habit of, because we're losing, we need to readjust the whole arrangement. So I would just ask that we monitor this progress and see where we're at in 2 years to see if it's working in the best interest of our students or not.
Good.
Yes, I would like to, piggyback off that a little bit. But to the athletic director, I would like to thank you and Dr. Poteet and administration for looking into this and doing a deep dive, because the morale of our students is important. And the athletic department, for most kids, keeping them busy helps them produce academically as well. So I appreciate you for taking the time, for doing your research, and making a better suit and finding a better program for our athletes so that they can be more successful. And since you did confirm with me that it has no bearing on athletic scholarships coming from our school, that even makes it even gravier, because it will boost the morale in our school, and we need that in Winslow Township. So thank you very much.
Before we move on, and I just want to thank you, because I remember a few years ago when I was the athletic committee chairperson, and we had the same conversation with the former athletic director, and he absolutely did not want to even hear it. So thank you very much and Dr. Poteet for both moving on this and making this happen, because this will make the participation numbers and those students come out in droves. So this is definitely a positive thing for Winslow. We'll start seeing more student athletes, and it'll be a very, very positive thing for our student athletes. So thank you, Dr. Poteet. Thank you, Ms. Lane.
Mr. President, just making the statement, and again, I also enjoyed with the other board members their comments with regards to this presentation, and it's been an awakening, I believe, for many of us. And it reminds me of the quote that I recently read that said that great schools and programs are built not just by students, but by those of us who remember being a student.
Thank you, Mrs. Pitts, for saying that. Dr. Poteet, I look forward to seeing how this progresses and moving into that new conference, hopefully.
I think that Mrs. Lane and Mr. Morella will continue to do things as necessary for our children to be successful. Winning begets winning, and winning is something that is important for our children. I've witnessed some of the embarrassments of our kids after a terrible, terrible loss over the years, and I don't think we, as adults, should continue to put our children in a situation such as that. So it will be closely monitored by Mrs. Lane and Mr. Morella. And over the 2-year period, we will come back and provide you with an update as to where we are as far as student athletics is concerned. Thank you.
Moving on to correspondence.
Mr. President, we have none this evening.
Can I have a motion to approve the following board meeting minutes from our regular meeting, May 28th, open session, and May 28th, closed session?
I move to approve the minute meeting for the Board of Education for its regular scheduled meeting, May 28, 2025, both open and closed.
Second that motion. Any questions?
Mr. President, was that Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Roll call, please.
you. Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Moving on to board committee reports. Athletic committee report, Mr. Thomas.
No report at this time.
Citizens Advisory Committee, Ms. Martin.
Yes, Ms. Levitt.
Thank you, Ms. Martin, members of the board. I didn't bring it. Okay. So the Citizens Advisory Committee met June 5th, 2025 at 6:30 in this very building. In attendance were myself, Mr. Anzuli, Ms. Harriman, Ms. McKenzie, and Ms. Tomasello. Absent were Ms. Vega, Ms. Hogan, Ms. Crooks, Mr. Chester, Mr. Moss, Mr. Lamola, Ms. Hoffman, and Mr. Lee. Board liaisons, Ms. Martin and Ms. Ward were present. Christie reported to the group that Rowan will be holding a photo shoot next week at the high school. Past graduates, current students, teachers, and administrators will be included. I believe that's in your agenda for this evening, so sorry if I stole your thunder, Dr. Potteet. We discussed parental participation. It was brought to the group's attention that not all schools were allowing parents to attend field days. We also discussed graduation security because of the unsatisfactory conduct of the crowd attending. A suggestion was made by the group that additional police presence would be available and keep visitors off the field and deal with those attendees who may be disruptive. Many parents have voiced their concerns about this over the last year. Perhaps a limited number of tickets should be distributed for each graduation. Obviously not a suggestion for this year as we are so very close to graduation. I was also going to make a recommendation to the board that we create additional Hall of Fame groups at the high school level to include theater, arts, band, and a separate group for academic success. Hopefully this will be voted on, and I do have a recommendation for that when I'm done my meeting minutes. We also asked whether superintendent awards were occurring this year. I'm also going to present a recommendation about the HSA. Let's see. Because we discussed how HSA involvement has declined, and we agree that the incentives for being involved more directly in the HSAs for school has been seen by many parents as not being worth it, to not having access to the school and to their students, which ultimately is why many parents volunteer. And also the bandwidth of HSA members to communicate effectively with parents and caregivers. Also of note, a recent post on Facebook, which offered free tuition to students enrolling in a particular medical college, which is Einstein Medical Center, was discussed to the group, and we wanted to put it in the minutes to bring attention to it. We did decide to meet over the summer. We'll be holding our July meeting on July 10th on Zoom, and in August, we will come back to our regularly scheduled meeting. So before I read the recommendations, are there any comments or questions?
Mr. Evans, with regards to your report, is it written out? Is it in narrative form at
Yes.
all, or is it just verbal?
No, I did email, probably this afternoon, which is probably why it's not in your board packets, but,
I sent.
okay, you just sent it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Martin.
Okay,
So in the future, is there a possibility that when the CAC meetings minutes are done, can you do it prior to the date of the meeting so that we have an opportunity to get a copy of them so we can go along with your notes as you read them?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Nieves, were they emailed today to Ms. Sherman?
Yes.
Ms. Sherman is off today. That's probably what happened. Because usually we would grab them and copy. But.
Yeah.
Or if you send them to Ms. Sherman and myself. Because, usually one or the other's here, then I would have gotten them.
I was wondering what, normally she emails back, because she's so appreciative when I actually get them in before the board meeting, so I was missing that reply.
So I'll have a moving up ceremony. So
Yeah.
she's not here.
And also, I think having a Hall of Fame for each discipline is an excellent idea. I just want to point out that the original Hall of Fame that we did last year was ran by the Booster Club. It really had no affiliation with the board, no premise. So if I would vote for anyone or any nonprofit or any other club that will come and create that actual aspect of having a Hall of Fame for not just the athletics, but every other discipline.
Any other comments, questions?
I believe one, the music, performing arts have their own, like, sort of booster club. No, they don't. I thought they did.
Parents are part of the, if we're representing part of the drama club, it goes right to the school.
Okay.
There's nothing outside of the school.
And Dr. Poteet, if we're going to do something of that sort with a Hall of Fame for anything of like a performing arts or academic Hall of Fame, we would have to have time to look into it before we can even act on any recommendation of that sort, wouldn't we?
I mean, there should be some process, but it's doable. I don't think it's something that can't be done. It's just a matter of putting some procedures in place, like how do you become a candidate for that particular Hall of Fame? So you have to set some criteria up and, you know, for example, for choral music, you should have at least been on All South Jersey, All State, or All Eastern, and the drama section, you know, band, put something in place so that you can have a selection process.
Okay.
Once you create that with the assistance of whomever else you want to involve, then it's just a matter of implementing it.
Okay.
So
So, Mr. President, it seems like listening to what Dr. Poteet says, it would seem that the policy committee, I think, would be the best committee that could take that over and set up procedures for that.
So are we saying that the board's gonna take over the Hall of Fame process?
No, we're not, no, what we're saying is that the policy committee is going to discuss it and put forth to the board policies, procedures. That's what we're saying.
All right.
Okay? Okay.
superintendent awards was mentioned, and yes, we continue to give out superintendent awards. For those of you who were at the senior awards night, we presented superintendent awards at senior awards night. Friday, I will be presenting superintendent awards to the sixth graders. We decided to provide and distribute these awards in the presence of their peers as well as their parents, so that those individuals will know who's receiving those awards. And then, of course, Tuesday will be school six, and then at middle school, moving up ceremony, as we did last year, we'll be presenting the superintendent awards to those young people, again, in the presence of their peers as well as the parents. So that has continued, and we will continue to make that a part of those ceremonies in the presence of their parents as well as their peers. It has been well received in the past couple of years.
And anything in regards to parents attending field days and that not being equitable across all schools?
Well, not necessarily. That has been a building level decision. That hasn't been something that I've had to get involved in or to delegate. I think one of the concerns that the building principals raised was just the safety factor. How do we manage and maintain safety when you have people outside? Some people will do it right and come through the school and get registered in. Some may just want to come and since it's open field, whatever. So I think that was one of the concerns that the building principals raised, but it hasn't been something that we have said all schools must allow parents and to participate. It's been a building level decision. As you well know, some schools have allowed parents to participate, some have not, for a particular reason, but it hasn't been something that we have said across the board, you cannot or you may. It's been a building decision.
All right, and with that being said, I would encourage any parent who has an issue to please reach out to their building principals to let their feelings known on that. So I think you guys kind of rendered my first recommendation. I was gonna ask for the board to motion and vote on the exploration of both an academic and performing arts hall of fame. I don't know if a vote and a motion is required for that, Mr. Long, but
Yeah, well, we need to develop the criteria, as Dr. Poteet said, so, and Mrs. Pitts said she would take that on in developing a policy for that. So that's how we're gonna start that. So that helps your first recommendation.
second recommendation was to recommend that the district Facebook page help promote individual school HSA meetings and events, that individual schools administration send out robocalls, texts, and/or emails beginning in the 25-26 school year in order to bolster parent-caregiver involvement in our HSAs, which in turn would help increase community support.
I don't think that's a problem. I think if the president of any of the HSAs had asked the building principal for support, that wouldn't have been a problem. I don't know whether or not that has ever been requested of a building principal, but I do know that the building principals would be more than happy to support the HSAs because they benefit, meaning the students in the school benefit from the HSAs. So I think it's just a matter of the presidents or the officers of the HSA sitting with the building principals and putting together a plan as to how they would like to proceed for the next school year. So I don't anticipate that being a problem at all, Mrs. Nieves.
Okay, that was all that I had.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to the Education Committee.
We had a meeting, Mr. President. Minutes are forthcoming.
Okay. Marketing Committee, Mr. McManus?
Yes, we had a meeting on May 30th. The minutes are also forthcoming.
Question, Mr. President,
Yes.
with regards to Mr. McManus, with regards to the marketing committee, with the upcoming Juneteenth.
Yes,
Is it safe to know that the board will have a table at that?
that is
event?
correct.
And with regards to that, do we know exactly for the hours of the event, who will be covering that table?
My intention was, we had talked at the committee, Ms. Claude, myself, and Mr. Thomas, and we were going to leave it out to the individual members of the board to set up a schedule where they could volunteer, for lack of a better term, at any given time. I myself wanted to be there for the majority of the day unless I get kicked out. That's a joke.
So what you're saying is that for board members who are going to be able to be present, that we should contact you, contact each other?
Yeah, you can give, I know Ms. Claude has taken the mantle for that particular day. So it might be best for us to, if you can't get a hold of Ms. Claude, for sure myself.
Okay.
Well, before everyone leaves today, I'll just have a sign-up sheet so everyone can know tonight what time they're gonna come out there and sit at the Board of Education table, so we have it more organized and planned. All right?
Thank you, Ms. Claude.
Are you gonna do block timing at all, or? you're just gonna
Just
do
tell me what
whenever?
time you can be, the event is from 2 to 7. So we're gonna be there at 7 a.m. to set the table up. We're not expecting anyone to come at 7, but at 2 o'clock, that's when we expect people to start showing up
Okay.
to sitting at the table.
And just on that other point, Ms. Claude, I reached out to Dr. Poteet, and Dr. Poteet, our Ms. Sherman, the
Mrs. Pinnock.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. We'll be providing the necessary equipment that we had asked.
Just want to remind the board that for Juneteenth Day, we do have a banner for that day. And that Ms. Peterson did last year, and she did a great job. So we'll be bringing that.
Super.
I also requested for that day, Dr. Poteet, if we could get maybe 4 or 5 things from the pin relays to be demand the table. Just to show the winning spirit of what we are doing, if that's possible.
Are you referring to trophies?
Yeah, or the plaques. I would like to get maybe 1 or 2 of them big plaques.
Okay.
That would be great.
All right. We'll get that to you. I'm gonna, we'll sign them off to you, Mr., but you'll have to, give us a deposit.
Not a problem.
I'll speak with Mr. Morella and see if we can have the coaches to provide you with a few of those trophies, Mr. Thomas.
That would be perfect.
Now, Mr. Thomas and Mr. McManus, all the materials that you requested, we can identify and provide. Mr. Thomas, of course, I've provided you with some of the handout information that you
And thank you
requested.
very much. Thank you very much.
The only thing we are not sure of is the, I think you asked for some plastic places.
Plaque, I kind of, that's what the pen relay plaque.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, we got it now.
Okay, all right.
All right, okay,
Dr. Potteet,
yes.
I'm assuming that because, the Penn Relays has been in existence for many years, and Juneteenth is the historical component, and we're a education facility, a teachable moment. Do you have history on the number of plaques and what years we received? I'm just asking, because I like to make it historical, because we're a learning institution.
Mrs. Peterson, I will grant you the opportunity to go to the high school.
I will do that, but I think that
And
we need to
sit
set the
with.
tone. I'll do it.
No, and I'm not being facetious because we're talking way back age.
I
mean,
agree,
it's
and I
a
know some of the
lot.
ones that have
It's a
won,
lot.
yes.
Because
do
at
that.
this point, truly, at this point, everybody in the high school, I mean, right now, it is so busy with everybody preparing for graduation, all those kinds of things. We'll allow you to communicate with either Ms. Lane or Mr. Morella to find out how you can do that.
Okay.
Because right now, I can't commit anyone to that and have it to you in that bit of time. Because it is a lot, truly, it would be quite a bit to try to historically, if it's not already in place, and I'm not sure it is because I'm not sure, but the plaques are in the trophy cases.
Cases, and the cases are
It,
in the hallway, so you
in
can
the
actually
hallways,
see.
right, and I think we've
That's
tried
not
to make
hard.
it numerical,
Okay,
so it'll be
that's
a
not
little
hard.
easier, but it's quite a bit, Mrs. Peach.
Okay, that's not hard, but I think that's something that shows a history of where Edgewood Winslow has come from or where we have been,
Yep.
which really re-emphasizes the need for us moving to a different platform. Conference, just historical.
And that's it.
Any other questions about the marketing committee?
What did you say?
What's that?
Did you say operation?
Not yet.
One more question. So we're not doing Chislehurst Day, which is this Saturday. Am I correct?
We are not.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. That's it. Okay, moving on to operations committee. Mr. Edens?
We had a meeting today at 5 PM. Mrs. Boyle, do we have the minutes? Mrs. Boyle?
We do not have the minutes,
Okay, but
because our meeting was at 5 PM.
Why not, Mrs. Boyle?
She's so good at what you do.
Now, that was a joke,
We
because
did
I would be
have-
so great.
We do have the agenda, but we'll turn around and supply the minutes at the next meeting.
Okay,
Is that okay?
that's fine.
All right.
Mrs. Pitts, policy committee.
Policy Committee, Mr. President, will be held, our next meeting will be on July 9th at approximately 6 PM, just before our July board meeting,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Thomas, the two township committees.
No report at this time.
Okay. And I have no report from the planning board, so we'll move on to the superintendent's report. Can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's report as it's recommended for approval by the superintendent?
Mr. President, before you make that motion,
Yes,
there
ma'am.
are two items that we're going to table.
Okay,
It's item 15 on page 4 and item 16 on page 4.
Can I have a motion to table items number 15 and 16 on page 4 of the superintendent's report?
Make a motion to table number 15 and number 16 on page 4 under the superintendent's report.
Second.
Manis, second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Going back to, can I get a motion to approve the superintendent's report? Beginning on page 3 and ending on the middle of page 5, as the superintendent recommends it for approval.
I move to accept the superintendent's recommendation for approval, beginning on page 3 and moving through to page 5, excluding number 15 and number 16.
Second that?
Any questions?
Yes. I have a question. For, on page 4, item 18 for the varsity tutors, do we already have the students selected that will be participating in this program? And do we have any kind of way that we're gonna be measuring how this, works for the students and on their progress over the summer?
Dr. Cartman, do you know whether or not they've selected the young people already? Because I know we had this program already in the district.
We already have the program. It is an extension of what we already have. And so we are primarily targeting the students at 5, 6, and the middle school. So the rest of the it's an online program, but we are primarily looking for grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
And have the parents been notified for the students that are gonna be in the program already? Because
I
this
can't
starts
tell
on June the 23rd.
I know that, and as I said, it's an extension. So, I can't tell you whether or not the parents have been notified, but I can get back to you and let you know whether or not those students have been identified and if the parents have been notified.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
No, it's, we can't wait till public portion.
Okay,
It's coming.
up
It's coming.
it, yeah, okay.
If there's no other questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Can I have a motion to approve the business administrator board secretary's report beginning on the middle of page 5 and moving all the way to the end of page 13 as it's recommended for approval?
I move to accept the business administrator board secretary's report that begins on middle of page 5 and continues through to the bottom of page 13.
Can I have a second?
I would second that.
Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to make a public comment, really more than anything else. I want to congratulate and thank Dr. Carcamo, Dr. Davis, Ms. Boyle, the board members that were involved in negotiations, and of course, our counterparts that were involved in the negotiations. It's been said to me that this is the first time in some 14 years that the contract negotiation has
Done before it expired, yep.
Yeah, so I just want to personally thank everybody for a job well done. I was told not to include you. So.
Yeah, that's a joke.
And our esteemed
Thank you, sir.
counselor.
Thank you, sir. I don't have to beg for compliments. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin. Yes. Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Moving on to section C of the business administrator board secretary's report. Can I have a motion for approval on that as it's recommended for approval, on page 14?
I move that the Business Administrative Board Secretary recommends the approval of the following services. On page 14, number 1, school physician, all grade levels, letter A and B.
Second,
I'd second that motion.
any questions? All right, if there's no questions, roll call?
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Moving on to the personnel report. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report as the superintendent recommends it for approval?
I move that the personnel report be recommended. I move that the superintendent's recommendations of approval of the following actions. Letter A, 1 through 7 on page 15 and 16.
So,
Oh, wait, 17.
do we have a second?
I'll second the motion to approve the personnel report, superintendent's recommendations, approval of the following actions, page 15 through page 17 inclusive.
Any questions? Okay, roll call?
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Moving on to our addendum. Everybody can take a look at the addendum for a minute. So everybody's ready? Well, can I have a motion to approve the board secretary's report, from page 1 all the way through page 9, and at the middle of page 9, as it's recommended for approval by the board secretary and board administrator?
I move to accept the business administrator or secretary's recommendation of approval beginning on page 1 and going through to page 9, top of 9.
Do we have a second?
Second that motion?
Any questions? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Moving on to the superintendent's report on the addendum. Can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's report as is recommended for approval by the superintendent, from the middle of page 9 to the bottom of page 9?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendations beginning on page 9 and ending on page 9.
Can I have a second?
Second that?
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Dredden,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson.
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report as it's recommended for approval by the superintendent on the addendum?
I move that the personnel report be accepted, beginning on page 10, ending on page 10.
Second, can I have a second, please?
Second that motion to approve the personnel report, superintendent's recommendation, following changes that are all listed on page 10.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Redding,
Yes.
Ms. Claude,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Pitts,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
The motion has carried.
Moving on to Open Public Records Act requests. Ms. Boyle?
Yes, Mr. President, between May 23rd, 2025 and June 5th, 2025, we received and responded to two, I don't know why I didn't get two, Open Public Records Act. The first one came in from Nicole Quinones from Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, and she requested documents related to purchase order 305947 from the Gillespie Group, Inc., and they wanted copies of the bills and change orders submitted by the vendor to the district, invoices with proof of payment to the vendor by the district, and all certified payroll records submitted to the district related to the purchase orders, whether they be from vendors or subcontractors. Those documents were compiled and sent. The second one was from Samantha Bodine, the Cooper Health System. She wanted a copy of the fully executed agreement between Andrea McCoy, MD of Cape Regional Physician Associates and the Winslow Township Board of Education for the year 2024-25. And the rest of that doesn't need to be there. It was, those records were compiled and sent as well.
Thank you, Ms. Boyle. Moving on to informational items. Dr. Petit?
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board and community. I have a few information items. Members of the board, if you look in your brown folders, I have provided you with a list of 24-25 school year accomplishments. This, of course, was asked of me by the marketing committee, and I felt it was important that the full board have an opportunity to see this information prior to it being disseminated, possibly at the next community event, which is probably, if I'm not, please correct me if I'm incorrect, at Juneteenth.
Yes, sir.
Going to be provided. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say the 24-25 school year and the class of 2025, they've had a banner year. This has been one of the most productive and accomplished classes we've ever had in the history of Winslow Township School District and Edgewood. If you would just look briefly at the accomplishments, I also provided you, ladies and gentlemen, a list of the colleges and universities in which our young people will be attending. That is also in that brown folder. As we've done in the past, more than half of our students in the class of 2025 will be attending a college or a university upon graduation. Many of those young people also will be going into the armed forces and into the job force. Our salutatorian this year is nationally recognized as an Advanced Placement Scholar Award recipient by the College Board. She also received the Questbridge Scholarship Award, which matched students with some of the most prestigious colleges and universities in the country. She'll be attending the University of Pennsylvania. With that being said, we have had 5 students over the past 4 years accepted into the University of Pennsylvania. This year, we have 18 high school students receive the New Jersey State Seal of Biliteracy for Spanish and English. That's the highest number we've ever had at one time. This year, we also had one of our students receive the biliteracy for French and English, and that is our first in quite some time. The Honor School Award for our student government, this is given by the New Jersey Association of Student Councils. Our school will be receiving that award. We have a National Honor Society Civil Finalist Scholarship Award winner for $3,200. We have a Merit Scholar, which is a tremendous accomplishment for us, and we'll get that destination probably in September, once that young person is identified. And as you can see, we're talking about 1.3 million students took the test, and 50,000 are selected for designation. 16,000 will be semifinalists. We're hoping that our student will be a semifinalist or commended. We have one student who scored 1,510 out of the possible 1,520 points on the PSAT. Tremendous accomplishment for our students. Ladies and gentlemen, athletically, and I broke it down, academics, athletics, and the arts. Athletically, this is the first time in our history we have 5 state championships in the same year. And many of these state championship teams have broken records that have been in place for over 40 years. These young people have done tremendous in that area. Basketball team is on the rise. Our middle school boys and girls won at the 4x1 champions at the Penn Relays. And as a result of our track and field accomplishments, Coach Brown has been again named South Jersey Track Coaches Association Winter Coach of the Year and Spring Coach of the Year. In the arts, as most of you already know, the Drama Club, through the Cappies Awards, we got Best Musical for 2025, Best Female Vocalist, Best Set Design, Best Stage Crew, and we've also went to the Teen Arts Festival advancement, a musical performance, which was music and theater. They received advanced rating in all of the categories of the competition. Our orchestra numbers received advanced ratings in every category. Our vocal music, again this year, we had students selected all South Jersey, all state, and all Eastern Regional. I'm quite sure some of these young people will be on that Hall of Fame wall once it's put in place. Our band, of course, a color guard, Region 1 Class A champions. Our band Atlantic Coast Championship was 7th overall, and our color guard was ranked 2nd, and percussion was ranked 3rd of all the schools that compete across the state as well as Eastern Region. We had one student, Daniel Asa, who won first place with C-SPAN student documentary competition for the Eastern Region of the United States. Not to mention our TV production program for this one particular documentary, Piece by Piece. I did not list all of the awards this year, and I will not read all the ones we have listed here, but they won 10 awards that are listed. Very accomplished TV production program. In our elementary schools, we had a couple young people from our school 2 who won the art at the elementary category for the mental health art contest. We got a 1st and a 3rd. School facilities, of course, we opened our first early childhood education center in Chislehurst. And district-wide, of course, settling the WTEA and WTAA contract in 4 months. Not only first for the district, we normally go 2 years into contract negotiations before that is done. So it's been a banner year for us here in Winslow, and the class of 2025 has a lot to be proud of. And of course, the colleges and universities, we've broken it down so that we've listed the college on one side and the number of students that will be attending that college. And this is an impressive list, again, of our young people going on not only to many of the colleges in the state of New Jersey, many of the HBCUs, and then again, some of the most prestigious colleges and universities in the country. So our young people continue to do this school district and the community well in representing us. The last item I have is just for information purposes. Friday is the moving up ceremony at School 5. Monday is the moving up ceremony at School 6, which is June 16th, as well as the middle school moving up ceremony is June 16th at 6 p.m. School 5 and 6 will start at 9:30 a.m. And of course, the high school graduation is Tuesday, June 17th at 6 p.m. We would love to be outside.
Yes.
Weather permitting.
Yes.
Weather permitting. If not, we'll be inside. But we're hoping and praying that we'll be able to have that graduation ceremony outside. But we will plan to be inside if necessary. That concludes my information items, ladies and gentlemen, for this evening. I will address any questions you may have at this time.
Dr. Poteet, with regards to the high school graduation on Tuesday, board members are to be,
Yes, no later than 5:30 here at the administration building. We will bus you over to the high school. We'll be in the same location. The room is set up the same location as last year. But if you're not aware where that is, if you come on the bus, we'll direct you to that location in the new extension of the building. All right?
okay, thank you.
Anyone else? If not.
And moving up day is on when, for the ninth graders is when, Monday?
Yes,
At what time?
for the middle school,
Right.
8th grade, 6 o'clock.
Anyone else from informational items? Moving on to old business. Anybody have anything for old business? Only thing I have for old business is please everybody remember to complete your evaluations. We need to get them done so that way we can meet our July 1st deadline to stay in compliance with our board guidelines. And then now moving on to new business. Any new business? All right, if nobody has any new business, I have new business. I sent out an email to everybody about the board retreat. I asked for 2 possible choices for Saturdays in July and August. I know Dr. Poteet got back to me with August 9th and 16th. If those dates can work for everybody, we can use those 2 dates as our starting point. If not, just let me know first, but we'll try to use those dates.
Can we get time to look at that one more time and then get back with you?
Okay, they start off at July 19th and 26th, and then it's August 2nd, 9th and 16th. Because August 30th is Labor Day weekend. Because I have to get back to our field service rep with the date. All right.
It's one day.
There's no additional new business. We will move on to public comments. Mr. Long?
Thank you, sir. The Winslow Township Board of Education highly values the input of citizens in making the important decisions that affect the children of our community. We believe in the rights of citizens to observe board meetings, to ensure that all of our citizens have the opportunity to attend school board meetings and offer comment, and to ensure that the board conduct the important business of the district. We ask that the speakers follow the guidelines for making public comment. Please note that the board secretary will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to make comment. We'd ask that you kindly respect the following procedures. 1, all members of the public attending school board meetings must treat each other and the board with respect. 2, please state your full name and town of residence. 3, please limit your comments to 4 minutes. 4, in the event we're unable to answer your questions, please provide your name, address, and telephone number, and preferably email address where you can be contacted, and your questions will be answered within a reasonable time frame. And lastly, individuals offering citizen comment are not permitted to make personal attacks on any district employee, board member, other testifier, or member of the public. Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Can I have a motion to move into public comments?
Motion to move into public comment.
Can I have a second?
Second the motion to move into public comment.
All in favor?
Antoinette Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Antoinette Johnson, and I'm Robert Johnson's wife. I was actually going to give this on behalf of him, who's actually sitting in the back, but since my name is on the list, I will continue with my comments. First of all, I am very impressed. This is my first board meeting. Very impressed with the accomplishments of the school district. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and this is, I've been in Winslow for the last 13 years with my husband. We reside in Berlin, New Jersey. I wanted to take a minute to just speak on something that holds a great meaning to my husband and to myself. And it's not just about today, but it's about our generations to come. And that is the power of legacy. And the importance of creating monuments and naming buildings after those who have made lasting contributions to our society. You see, I think all of the accomplishments that you listed today, Dr. Petit, are a direct result of the people who come before those students. And I do think it's important that when we're thinking about naming buildings, a field, any public space after someone, that we're doing it in a place that it means more than just about putting a name on a building. We are telling a story. We are preserving a legacy. And we are reminding young people that greatness has walked among them. And that way, they too can leave their mark on the world. And I do think that's important for them to see. Monuments and memorials also reflect our values. They are the anchors in our communities that ground us in our history, celebrate our heroes, and inspire our future. And whether it's a coach who mentored you for generations of students, a teacher who shaped the minds far beyond the classroom, or a local leader who fought for justice and support opportunities for others, honoring those individuals is not just about nostalgia, it's also about truth, recognition, and gratitude. In a world that hope moves very quickly, and there are a lot of things happening in our world today, it's easy to forget the shoulders that we stand on. But we should be naming public spaces after those who have shaped our schools, our neighborhoods, and our lives. We ensure that we will never forget them, and that they will never stop, others will never stop striving for excellence because of the path that they helped build. And when it comes to Winslow, this is my husband's, he grew up here. He knows this, and I'm learning this, that there's such a rich history here that deserves to be honored and displayed. And so I do implore the board to start today. Let us commit to uplifting the legacies of those who made Winslow strong, because honoring the past, we are building a brighter future. And with that, we are supporting the field being named after Dennis Mitchell and also Russell Bates. Thank you for listening.
Brenda Foxworth.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, and my oldest will be 44 this year, so I've been at this for a little while. Good evening again, everyone. I too am pleasantly impressed with what I heard at this meeting. I do come out from time to time. I have older children that transited from Catholic school into the high school here. One came to retrieve her child that went on to graduate with honors from Rowan University. So I'm very familiar with Winslow Township School. My oldest child that came through and my 44-year-old and my 32-year-old are veterans. One went straight from high school. Well, both of them went straight from high school. One went into the Army, and my youngest daughter went into the Air Force, and they did exceedingly well. Okay, then I have one that's going to graduate on Tuesday, and then another one that's going to be promoted to the 9th grade. In any regard, in any regard, I have one question and then I'll address while I'm here. This varsity tutors, is that for sports or what is that?
Academic tutoring.
So I'm not familiar. They did say one of the schools that one of my grandchildren attend. How do I get more information? Where would I find more
Building
information
principal.
about it?
The building principal.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so I am here on a different note and to make a suggestion. So this is my granddaughter who attends school number 5, Tasha Foxworth, and 4 of her, please sit, 4 of her other children that I stood in for my 38-year-old daughter due to unfortunate mental health issues, lost her way 16 years ago. So this is my second attempt on motherhood because I have legally adopted all of them, okay, from birth, and the oldest one is 15. And the youngest one is 4. In any regard, there was a situation over at school number 5 involving a $50 bill, okay? My birthday's May 2nd, and then there's Mother's Day. So I have 6 adult children and 18 grandchildren. So I was gifted a whole bunch of nice things. Without my permission, Tasha took a $50 bill that my mother, whoever gets a card from my mother, my 80-year-old mother, we know what's going to be in it. If you've been good, she says. Not for you. But so I got mine. In any regard, without my permission, she helped herself. And she's a special education student that came through the preschool handicap program and has a full-blown IEP, okay? She took it to the school, a $50 bill, and was allowed to put it on the meal plan. No staff, no one in that cafeteria. It didn't draw a red flag to say, honey, because there's so many of them, they qualify for free lunch. So no one in that cafeteria took any, this is the printout, took any time, it says free, then you see a $50. Took the time to say, sweetie, let me double check and see if this is okay, because this is not usual, okay? So they allowed her to put the $50 on the plan. And I want to say as well, I'm a seasoned, again, mother. I gave you the back history, grandmother, and a great-grandmother to a 20-month-year-old. So I'm not new to this. There's it's called My Mealtime, app that you would add money on, for your student in that way. I don't know any of us that would send a 5th grader, not alone a 5th grader, that is in special education to school with a $50 bill to put money.
Ma'am,
I'm just saying, I went through the steps, okay? And I printed it out. They said that I was going to get back.
the 4 minutes.
Okay, but I'm here because I went through the chain of command. I'm retired from the state of New Jersey, so I know chain of command. They said I had to come to the school board meeting. Here's the printout of the email to get the remainder money back.
Your 4 minutes
Okay.
are up, and we got to keep the meeting.
Okay, who can address that I'm gonna get the money back, Mr. Shaw? Or a portion of this money?
I had a conversation with Mrs. Foxworth. She had called the office. I told her that I would have to go back to the source. So I had a conversation with the food service director, and I was given the information that they shared with me. I called Mrs. Foxworth back. Mrs. Foxworth and I disagreed on that information. So here we are.
And not just that, here's a printout of the email that Colleen Lynch said I had to come before the school board meeting, which is this, to get at least the remainder $25.30 back. It says it right here, plain as day. This is her email to me, dated
Right.
May 21st.
Right. What Mrs. Lilich, the food service director, when she said school board, she was pretty much meaning school administration, which is we consider school board in this building. So I addressed the issue. And at this point, I don't think it's appropriate for me to go into details in a public meeting.
Absolutely cannot.
Right, about this, but I am aware of it and I tried to resolve it. But again, Mrs. Foxworth do have the opportunity and the right to go above my head, so I'm assuming that's why she's.
I'm just following their advice on the email. It says that she spent the rest. I get it. There's $25.30. And please come to the township meeting and request the remainder of the money. And that's what I'm doing. That's all.
Mrs. Foxworth,
Yes, sir.
I offered to give you the remainder of the money and you said you wasn't going to accept that.
With all due respect, Dr. Pruti, I'm not going to go back and forth either.
Right.
I had conversations. The school, Dr. Carter, said that shouldn't have happened.
Okay.
Then Sodexo said this,
Right.
Colleen's over it. You said that. I'm requesting the remainder of that money to be sent back.
You will.
And going forward,
Mrs.
I would ask that the staff in that cafeteria be more mindful, because normally we don't get change back of a $50 bill. Someone went to the bank, my 80-year-old mother, to gift that to me because I was a good girl.
Mrs.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mrs.
I'll
Foxworth,
expect that money back.
we will refund you the money that was not spent.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Foxworth.
Valerie Bailey.
Jeez. And pick the trash. Please pick it up.
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Valerie Bailey. And I am here.
Ma'am, could you speak into the mic, because I'm having trouble hearing you, sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Valerie Bailey. I'm a resident of Sickle, New Jersey. And I am here in support of the naming of the track field for Russell, the Bates Mitchell Field. This young lady so eloquently introduced why it's necessary to honor legacies. But I wanted to give you some concrete reasons to honor legacies. Given the time restraints, I'm just going to go through some of Mr. Bates' achievements and some of Mr. Mitchell's achievements, so that we'll have factual information and evidence when you start to review the information and make your decision. So, for Mr. Bates, he was the Edgewood coach since 1969 through 2000 and through for more than 3 decades. He made history in 1978, becoming the first Black coach to be named South Jersey track and field coach. He was the 4-time Courier Post Coach of the Year, 4-time Philadelphia Inquirer Coach of the Year, 9th National Coach of the Year, Voice Honorary Coach African Relays, recipient of the Woodbury Relays Silver Anniversary Award. Lifetime achievements. He has been a Rotarian since 2001, leading the community. He was on the Township Committee for 28 years. He is in 4 Hall of Fame: the Union County Hall of Fame, Lower Camden County Regional Edgewood Hall of Fame, South Jersey Track Coaches Hall of Fame, New Jersey State Coaches Hall of Fame. He was the coach for the Olympian, Dennis Mitchell, who we are recommending also carry that name of that field. As you all know, Mr. Mitchell was an Olympian in 1984, He gold medaled in the 4x100, silver medal in the 4x100 relay, and a bronze medalist in the 100-meter dash. He has a living legacy because he is now an Olympic coach, and he has 12 Olympians that will represent the United States in the upcoming Olympics. Why now? Why should we name the field now? Because, as the young lady indicated, legacy is important, history is important. Most noteworthy is what our esteemed superintendent shared with us today. We are constantly, perpetually growing the legacy for Winslow. And every opportunity that we get to put a stamp on it, we should take that opportunity. It's very important that as we stand 10 toes down, that we recognize folks who have contributed to our community, not only athletically, but as a community representative and building the character of young people. So I thank you for your time, and I wish both of these gentlemen would be considered for the naming of that track.
Mr. Harold Smith.
Everybody doing? I'm also here about the name of the field. I have a different perspective of the name. I kind of feel personally that it should be named the one individual, because throughout my year through Edgewood and working through Winslow, there's been a number of people who help kids, who dedicate their life to helping kids, and it would be an injustice to name the field to just one or two individuals when it was many, many people who helped their young people out and still doing today. So personally, I got the name Mr. Ronald Hobson back in my Edgewood days. He was the biggest leader of sending young kids to college. I mean, he was incredible. Then going forward, there were so many great football players, made it to the NFL. So many great people did so many great things. And then even today, you got a Shanika Brown, who's still doing great things, and not just winning, like Coach Bill Belton. They're not just winning, but what they're doing to our young kids, the way they are working with our young kids. I see them in the hallways. I see how the young track girls, I see how the young football players, I see the respect they have in the hallways, and the things that they do is untouchable. I mean, it's amazing how I go to track meets and I'm sitting in the stands and parents from other schools are saying their kids are so humble. What are y'all doing at Winslow? I had my Winslow gear on. What are y'all doing? And I'm like, our coaches. We have coaches who are, that cares. Mr. Hobson, one of the people that genuinely cared about us. He cared about me and my family. And I see that through these coaches today. I see the Kyle Glaw, who works in our community and working with young, I go over to the house and I see working with these young kids. I'm like, wow. And I know Mr. Hobson's still here today. I know he'd be proud, because to me, it started with him, with the Timmy Robinson, Leroy Smith, all the great athletes that came through, who were just, he cared for the kids. And that's what he left, his impact is that's what he left with me. It's not about winning, losing, the awards you get, it's about how do you take care of these kids. So my thing is, if we're gonna name, let's honor everyone who was involved. Somehow find something to name, to honor everybody. Doing one or two people is just not doing justice to what all the other people have done. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes those that have signed up to speak. Is there anybody on hold? Not at this time. So that concludes those that have signed up for public comment.
Can I have a motion to adjourn public comments?
Motion to adjourn public comments.
Second the motion to adjourn public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have a executive session, so in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, there's 9 exceptions under the law that permit us to enter into executive session. We'll be doing so today, June 11th, 2025, at approximately 8:40 PM. The items upon which we will be entering will be item number 1, student discipline, which by law are matters of privacy that need to be conducted in closed session. The authority for that is at 18A:37-1 at SEC. Draw your attention to that, and I would anticipate that we would be in the executive session approximately 45 minutes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to move into executive session?
Motion to move into executive session.
The motion to move into executive
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Ms. Stratton, Ms. Floyd, Ms. Martin. Yes. Mr. McManus,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson. Yes. Ms. Pitts, Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Thank you. Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Motion has carried.
Got her teacher voice on.
Come on, give us the gap.